Hello, I'm Hope Logan. I am an actor on Bold and the Beautiful, and many people really love both me and our Bold and the Beautiful drama. So I've come here to share updates about my beloved Bold and the Beautiful. Everyone, please subscribe and support me. If you do, I will keep coming every day with new updates for you. In the world of the Bold and the Beautiful, tension is once again building between Steffy Forrester Finnegan and Hope Logan Spencer, and this time the conflict feels more personal, more layered, and far more explosive than before. Beneath the polished world of Forrester Creations, a hidden storm is forming as Hope keeps a major secret from Steffy and the rest of the company. Frustrated by constant delays and broken promises surrounding her Hope for the Future line, Hope eventually reaches her breaking point and makes a bold, secret decision that changes everything. Without telling anyone, she signs a Logan contract and quietly steps away from her role at Forrester Creations, taking a leave of absence that immediately shifts the balance of power. Meanwhile, Steffi pushes forward with plans to end Hope's hiatus and prepare for a relaunch announcement, especially as the company shifts its focus away from couture. The tension between them briefly softens during a strange moment in the June 17th episode, when Steffi tries to emphasize their shared connection as mothers of daughters with Liam Spencer, creating an uneasy attempt at unity that culminates in an awkward hug that neither woman truly feels comfortable with. That uneasy truce, however, is nothing more than a fragile illusion. Steffi's warm gesture may have seemed sincere to some, while others saw it as forced, but either way, it does nothing to erase the resentment still burning beneath Hope's surface. Hope is not ready to let go of her frustrations, and instead of revealing the truth, she continues to hide her new direction and her secret Logan job from Steffi and everyone at Forrester Creations. As she moves forward, she carefully maintains her promises to Katie Logan Spencer, portrayed by Heather Tom, committing herself to this new path even as she knows it will eventually collide with everything she left behind. When the truth finally comes out, Steffi will almost certainly see it as a deep betrayal, a calculated backstab that undermines trust at Forrester. But from Hope's perspective, her actions are not betrayal at all. They are survival, a decision to reclaim control over her career after feeling powerless under Steffi's influence. This difference in perception only deepens the emotional divide between them, turning a professional disagreement into something far more personal and irreversible. As the rivalry continues to intensify, viewers are left questioning where they stand in this escalating feud between Steffi and Hope, two women tied together by history, family, and conflict within the same fashion empire. Some fans believe Hope acted too quickly, arguing that patience might have spared her from this growing chaos, while others feel she finally did what she needed to do by breaking free from a system that had become suffocating at Forrester Creations. With Liam Spencer and Katie Logan, Spencer also woven into this emotional web, the stakes feel even more complicated, leaving no clear right or wrong side. What is certain is that once Hope's new line is officially revealed, the fragile balance will collapse completely, triggering an explosive fallout that neither side will be able to contain. In the aftermath, the rivalry between Steffi and Hope is expected to erupt into its most dramatic phase yet, reshaping alliances and trust within the company in ways no one can fully predict. As the fallout begins to take shape, the atmosphere inside Forrester Creations grows heavier with every passing day, as if the building itself can sense the coming disruption. Whispers start spreading through the halls long before any official announcement is made, and the uneasy silence between teams becomes impossible to ignore. Hope continues moving carefully in the shadows of her decision, staying committed to her new direction, while knowing that every step forward distances her further from her past at Forrester. Steffi, on the other hand, remains focused on controlling the narrative, believing she is still guiding the company towards stability and success, unaware of how quickly things are slipping out of her hands. The emotional undercurrent between them intensifies without direct confrontation, building pressure like a storm that refuses to break but only grows stronger with time. And in the middle of it all, the presence of Liam Spencer continues to loom over both women, a shared connection that only deepens the emotional complexity of their rivalry, rather than easing it. Eventually, the truth begins to edge closer to the surface, carried by hints, rumors, and the inevitable cracks forming in Hope's carefully maintained secrecy. Steffi starts to sense that something is off, that Hope's absence is not as simple or temporary as it was made to seem, and that realization slowly turns suspicion into certainty. When the revelation finally arrives, it does not come gently. It hits like a sudden collapse of everything Steffi thought she understood about loyalty and trust within her company. The discovery of Hope's new line and her hidden alliance becomes the breaking point, shattering any remaining illusion of unity between them and igniting a confrontation that has been building for far too long. In that moment, every unresolved emotion, resentment, pride, frustration, and betrayal surges to the surface, leaving no room for calm reasoning. What follows is not just a professional fallout, but a deeply personal fracture that pushes Steffi and Hope into a new chapter of rivalry, one where every decision carries heavier consequences than ever before, and neither side is willing to back down. The revelation spreads through Forrester Creations like a shockwave, reaching every corner of the company in a matter of hours and instantly changing the emotional climate inside the fashion empire. Employees who once tried to maintain neutrality now find themselves quietly choosing sides, sensing that this conflict between Steffi and Hope is no longer just business. It has become something far more personal and irreversible. Hope's secret departure and the unveiling of her new direction leave a trail of disbelief in their wake, especially among those who believed she would eventually return to the fold without complication. Steffi, now fully aware of the depth of the deception, struggles to process not just the decision itself, but the calculated silence that allowed it to unfold unnoticed. The sense of betrayal cuts deeper because it arrives wrapped in professionalism, making it feel colder and more intentional than any argument or confrontation could have been. And as the reality settles in, the once controlled environment of Forrester Creations begins to feel unstable, as though the foundation of trust within the company has been quietly cracked. In the aftermath, Hope stands firmly by her choice, refusing to frame it as betrayal even as the consequences begin to close in around her. From her perspective, she has simply taken ownership of her career after years of feeling dismissed, delayed, and controlled within the Forrester system. That conviction gives her strength, but it also isolates her, placing her in direct opposition not only to Steffi, but to much of the world she once operated in. Steffi, meanwhile, channels her anger into resolve, determined not only to protect the integrity of Forrester Creations, but also to confront what she sees as a breach of trust that cannot be ignored. Their conflict becomes less about fashion and more about identity, control, and legacy, with each woman believing she is defending what is rightfully hers. And as neither side shows any sign of backing down, the tension only escalates further, setting the stage for an even greater confrontation that promises to reshape alliances, redefine loyalties, and push their rivalry into its most volatile and dramatic form yet. As the tension refuses to cool, Forrester Creations becomes a battleground of emotions where every conversation feels loaded with unspoken accusations and every glance carries the weight of lingering resentment. The fallout from Hope's decision continues to ripple outward, affecting not only her relationship with Steffi, but also the delicate balance of power within the company itself. What once felt like a unified creative space now feels divided, as uncertainty replaces confidence and trust becomes increasingly fragile. Steffi pushes forward with determination, trying to maintain control over the brand's direction, but even her authority feels tested by the growing instability around her. Hope, meanwhile, remains committed to her new path, even as she begins to realize that independence comes with its own emotional cost, distance from people she once considered part of her extended professional family. And in the background of it all, Katie Logan Spencer continues to represent the emotional anchor pulling Hope further into her new reality, reinforcing the promises that led her away from Forrester in the first place. As days pass, the confrontation between Steffi and Hope evolves from a single explosive moment into an ongoing emotional standoff that neither woman seems willing to resolve. Every attempt at communication is layered with suspicion, every discussion about business quickly turning into a reflection of their personal grievances. Steffi cannot separate Hope's decision from what she sees as a betrayal of trust, while Hope cannot separate Steffi's reaction from years of feeling undermined and restricted. The gap between their perspectives widens instead of narrowing, making reconciliation feel less like a possibility and more like a distant memory. Even those around them begin to sense that this rivalry has crossed a point of no return, where compromise no longer feels achievable and every new development only deepens the divide. And as the pressure continues to build, the world of the bold and the beautiful edges closer to another emotional explosion, one that promises to redefine not just their careers, but the fragile personal histories that bind them together. As the rivalry continues to harden into something far more permanent, the emotional temperature inside Forrester Creations reaches a point where even silence feels charged. Every department becomes aware that the conflict between Steffi and Hope is no longer a passing disagreement, but an ongoing fracture that is reshaping the entire company culture. What once would have been handled through private conversation now lingers in hallways, meetings, and design discussions, where every word seems carefully chosen to avoid triggering the next explosion. Steffi's leadership is increasingly defined by her need to reassert control, not just over the business, but over the narrative surrounding Hope's departure and secret return to independence. Hope, on the other hand, moves forward with a quiet but firm resolve, refusing to allow guilt or pressure to pull her back into a system she felt had failed her. And as both women stand on opposite sides of their convictions, the emotional distance between them grows so wide that even shared history feels like something from another lifetime. Yet beneath the professional tension, there remains an emotional undercurrent that neither Steffi nor Hope can fully escape, tied to the complicated legacy of their shared past with Liam Spencer. That connection, instead of softening the conflict, only deepens its intensity, reminding both women of how intertwined their lives have always been. Each interaction now carries echoes of old wounds, making it impossible to separate present decisions from past disappointments. The business rivalry becomes a reflection of something far more personal, a struggle for validation, autonomy, and emotional closure that neither of them has fully achieved. And as the pressure continues to mount, it becomes increasingly clear that this is no longer just a clash over fashion lines or corporate direction. It is a collision of identity and pride, where every choice carries the weight of everything they have ever endured, and where the next turning point in their story promises to push both Steffi and Hope toward a confrontation that will define the future of Forrester Creations in ways neither of them can control.